Hi there. I'd like to talk to you about World War I and the stalemate that was World War I. Now, World War I, many people say it was the first modern war, and that's true. I mean, we saw, gas masks, machine guns, airplanes being used as a weapon, fighters as bombers, as tactical bombers, strategic bombers, and World War I quickly turned into a stalemate, and there are several reasons for this, and most people blame the stalemate on the machine gun. And while it's true the machine gun was the most decisive factor in the stalemate of World War I, there are also documented cases where machine gun nests had been knocked out by mortar and artillery before an attack, and they're still able to repulse the attack with the bolt-action rifles that the soldiers remaining still had. So the machine gun wasn't the only reason for the stalemate. Now, another reason for the stalemate was the fact that they had you had a lot of things going on. You had barbed wire, that was an obstacle. You also had trenches, which were well dug in, which could absorb a lot of the impact of mortars and artillery, the bombardment that they would use to soften up the trenches before they attacked an enemy position. But there were other factors too. You had fast communications in World War I. You had phone landlines. You had radios. So a position that was under attack could quickly contact their chain of command, and the chain of command could contact soldiers nearby that weren't under attack to send some of their troops over to the position that was under attack to reinforce it. And you had motorized vehicles to quickly move troops from one position to another. There's an example of this in World War I where there were a lot of soldiers in Paris, France, who needed to be moved to the front as the Germans were coming close to Paris. So what they did was they commandeered the taxi cabs in Paris, and they drove the French soldiers out to the front to get them out there in time to stop the German advance. So I mean, there were a lot of factors leading to this. Also, we can't underestimate the power of the airplane in that war, particularly for aerial reconnaissance. There was a case where an Allied airplane spotted a German division trying to sneak up to the front in order to launch a surprise attack against the Allied lines. But once they saw, they spotted the division by air, they canceled the attack and the division fell back. An entire division retreated because of one airplane, being spotted by one airplane. So, I mean, the thing was about World War I, a lot of the fighting was actually done at night, actually, too, because of the stalemate of the trenches, and people would use something like this, either a trench knife or a trench club or both. They go in at night, under the cover of darkness, sneak into the front lines of the trenches, and stab or club the enemy, and then sneak out again under the cover of darkness. And they had to do this because it was futile. It was an exercise in futility to get up out of your trenches in daylight and try and rush the enemy's positions. You'd get hit by, first you get hit by their mortars and artillery, and then their machine guns and their rifle fire, plus they also had barbed wire that you had to cross. And and if you took the front line of an enemy's trenches, what tactical advantage was gained by it? Well, historians said little to none. In fact, it was often more of a liability to you to just grab their front trenches and be stuck there, because they had that zeroed in with mortars and artillery. Sometimes they wouldn't hit the guys on the front lines with the mortars and artillery who took the front trenches. They'd wait for reinforcements to come up and then hammer them but good. So a lot of times guys who were in the front trenches, they got the orders to fall back, and they fell back before they were even pushed back by the enemy. So yeah, a lot of the combat actually came down to, like I said, it became, down to hand-to-hand combat sometimes, with trench knives, trench gloves, because in the close quarter of a trench you couldn't wield a bayonet. So a weapon like a trench knife that was much smaller was much more advantageous once you got into the enemy trenches. So thank you. If you like, please hit the like button, leave a comment, let me know what you think, and always don't forget to subscribe. Thank you very much.